Previously on Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. I'm not in this alone. I have friends, don't I? Why do I need to cry about this? I set out on a mission and accomplished it completely, didn't I? I should hold my head high and feel proud of myself. I accomplished what nobody else could. I saved a helpless girl named Satoko, and it only took a single night. I really don't think she sees it that way, son.
Keiichi, Rena, Satoko はどこへ行ったのか知りませんか?
My breath came to a halt. I stole a quick glance back at Rika-chan's face. Her expression remained unchanged. She was still staring at me with her eyes open wide. Her mystical gaze gently surrounded me, and her eyes looked ominous.
教えてほしいのです。Satoko はどこへ行ったのですか?
Rika-chan repeated her question. She seemed convinced that we knew the answer. I couldn't even look at Rika-chan.
ケイイチ、お祭りの晩に何かあったのですか?
My body began to tremble. My wrist was certainly trembling too. Rika-chan must have been able to feel those vibrations.
例えば、悪いことをしたとか。
それでサトコはどうした？どこにかくまったんだ？
それなんですけど。
I felt a tense atmosphere suddenly pouring out of the handset.
何かあったのか？
昨夜から行方不明になっている北条哲平の行方を今警察が必死で探しているみたいなんです。
警察はもう失踪したことを突き止めたのか？
ええ。夕方バイクで出かけていくところを見た人がいますし。
Well, nice to know that particular aspect of the plan is going south already too.
北条家は昨夜からもぬけの殻ですし。でもどうしてかな？普通なら失踪者の捜索は少なくとも1週間くらいは様子見とかするんじゃないのかな。それにあの鉄平なら1日や2日いなくたって普通なんじゃ。
Raina was right about that. There was no reason for the police to be searching for him so hard. He was a scoundrel. Even if he went off and died somewhere, it wouldn't be that unusual.
普通ならそうかもしれません。でもこれは綿流しの夜の出来事なんですよ。
Raina and I both gasped as soon as we heard that. The police think this is the curse of Orishiro-sama? The curse of the 5th year?
ケイイチがしたことはサトコのためだったのでしょ？僕にだってそんなことは分かっているのです。
How can she understand? Rika-chan, how do you know? What do you know? How much do you know? Even though I wanted to ask, I just couldn't do it. If I ask any leading questions, I'll be digging my own grave.
やってはならないことをケイイチたちがやってしまったことはこの際問題じゃないのです。でもサトコは早くサトコを連れ戻さないと。
いや、シオンさんはまだ帰っていません。
どこへ行ったのですか？
さあ、私には分かりかねます。急ぎますので失礼ですがこれで。
However,
それがおかしいんです。ずっと帰ってきてないんですよ。ずっと。祭りの晩からね。
This is the night of the festival. My feet came to a halt. I couldn't bring myself to take another step. My legs wouldn't move. like they were frozen solid. What was he talking about? Didn't we all meet Shion at the library yesterday?
ひょっとしたら聡子はもう手遅れかもしれないのです。
Rika-chan's voice trembled as she squeezed that out. Too late for what? Rika-chan, if you know something, tell me! What should I do? Where should we go? To find Satoko and Shion? Satoko, Shion, where have you gone? Thoughts of desperation hounded me as we head towards Satoko's house. And so it continues. Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. So the walls are closing in, not just for Shion, but I would argue for pretty much everybody that's not Ushi and the supporting cast. Everybody's poor decisions are going to come back to bite them really hard. Once again, it's just a question of just how hard it's going to be before, well, bodies start hitting the floor. The setting sun illuminated the neighborhood in a bright red hue. The Hojo house was being swallowed by the dusk. It looked completely different from the time I came here with Shion. I quickly noticed that the path to the entrance was covered in weeds and dust. It felt like this place had been abandoned by the flow of time. When Reina rang the doorbell, it echoed inside the house. I couldn't hear any other sounds coming from inside.
誰もいないのです。
Reina put her hand on the doorknob and turned it vigorously. Clank, clank. The door was locked.
中の様子を見てみようよ。
We went around the side of the house. However, the curtains were closed, so we couldn't see inside.
これじゃあ中がよくわからないね。どうしようか。
Reina pressed her face right up against a window to peer inside. We can't turn back now. Make funny faces while you're at it. There must be a clue. Even something minor would help. If only we could find some clue that pointed to Satoko and Shion's whereabouts. I carefully examined the exterior of the house. Were there really no traces? There had to be signs that the two of them came here. There were small marks on the walls and pebbles on the ground all around. It all looked perfectly natural, completely ordinary. The only thing that seemed abnormal was the dismal lighting from the setting sun. There was no point staring at that. I needed to focus on finding the two of them. Before I knew it, I had walked away from Satoko's house and toward the forest. The same forest where we were that night. I noticed something glimmering in the bushes. What could it be? I slowly approached. It was like a mirror or something, shining a light at me that seemed to signal its presence. I found a familiar scooter buried in the bushes. Shion's scooter? It looked a lot like Shion's scooter. I lifted it up and checked the plate number. No doubt about it. Shion hid her scooter right here. I had a bad feeling about this, while running back towards Satoko's house.
圭一君?
Reina was peering into the kitchen window, but quickly looked back at me.
どけ!
I pulled off my tattered shirt and wound it around my right fist. Then I slammed it into the center of the window with all my strength in my body. If you're going to break the window, you might as well just jump right through it. The glass made a clamorous racket as it shattered.
圭 一くん、いきなりどうしたの？
Then again, if you do that, there is a good chance that if there's someone on the other side and they got something they can bludgeon you to death with, well, be a quick way to get yourself killed. So I guess you are kind of playing it a bit smart right now. I could tell from the surprise in Reina's voice that she was frightened. But at this point, I didn't care anymore. The presence of that scooter implied that Shion and Satoko came here, which means there's a chance they're still here. I thrust my hand through the broken window, undid the lock, and opened the window. The muggy, stagnant air immediately started flowing out of the room.
ここから中に入ろう。
I don't think they're here. I rolled a trash can over to the window and used it as a stepping stone to climb inside. Reina and Riga-chan gave me a dubious look, but they quickly followed behind me. I used the stainless steel sink in the Hojo family's kitchen as a foothold to lower myself down. This was breaking and entering, but at this point it was inevitable. Considering what you guys did the other day, I think breaking and entering is a relatively minor crime by comparison. Just saying. The tatami mats creaked underfoot as I stepped into the living room. My heart rate was steadily climbing. Turn back now. After this point, there will be no turning back. Another part of my mind was shouting at me for even thinking such a thing. Head home already, Keiichi Maebara. Don't come any closer. Was it my survival instinct, a sixth sense, or just plain old fear? I couldn't let myself give in to fear.
嫌な匂いがするのです。
Take your random pick. Looks to me like there's a whole slew of things right there that could be smelly. I felt my socks were getting moist and damp. When I looked down at my feet, I noticed dark spots like coffee stains on the tatami mats. The tatami mats had absorbed a large amount of the jet black liquid and became unpleasantly damp. I can see an overturned coffee cup that looked dirty.
朝ごはんかな。
Reina's voice was a little shaky. I could also make out a pile of dishes and old toast on the corner of the tatami mat.
さとこはいつも朝は和食です。お味噌汁にご飯じゃないと朝が始まらないのです。
Rika-chan picked up a slice of bacon that had fallen next to the sliding door.
それにしたってなんでこんな風に朝食が散乱しているんだ。誰かがここで飯を食べようとして急に癇癪でも起こして当たり散らしたとか。
Maybe they cooked the bacon too long. Made it a little too chewy. Teppei Hojo seemed like the only possible cause. But he was already dead. No, not chewy, crunchy. I picked up 2 coffee cups that had fallen down on the tatami mat.
こういうおしゃれで洋風な朝食はきっとしーちゃんのお手製なんじゃないのかな。
That might be the case. At the very least, it was clear that the two of them came here that night and tried to have breakfast here. But the two of them must have left in the middle of breakfast, which implied the two of them weren't here anymore. So what made them leave?
この匂い、ご飯の匂いなのかな。
The fishy aroma from earlier came drifting in. Could this be the combined smell of old coffee and dried bacon? The nasty odor smelled like old garbage. The sliding door leading to the back room was open a crack. The smell seemed to be coming from back there. Reina quietly put her hand on the door. Don't open it. Once again, the voice in my heart stopped me from moving forward.
俺他の部屋も探してみる。
Maybe I was just being a coward. I turned my legs around and headed towards the bathroom. But the next moment, I heard a scream loud enough to burst my eardrums coming from behind. A scream of desperation, the kind that can only be emitted by those in abject horror. Okay, who's dead? The smell drifted in from the room all at once. It was that fishy aroma. I started gagging as soon as it hit me. I mustered the courage to slowly look back. I could see Reina standing on the other end of the doorway.
これ何かな、ケイチ君。
The back room was dyed red, and it wasn't from the sunset pouring in through the window. The walls lit by the vermilion sunset were scattered with rusty red stains. Shion was flopped down on a futon, and the futon was dyed red as well. Shion? But Shion was dressed in regular clothes instead of pajamas, and her shirt was tattered and covered in holes. I noticed a bloody kitchen knife laying on the ground right beside her.
一体誰がこんなこと。
Reina stood perfectly still with her hands held to her mouth. She stood there trembling, with a face that simply couldn't comprehend the situation in front of her. And then... You gotta be fucking kidding me. I noticed a patch of disheveled hair hiding underneath Shion's body. My hands trembled as I mustered the courage to move Shion's body aside. And I found Satoko curled up underneath her. When I moved the arm wrapped around Satoko's shoulders, her head fell with full force, in the awkward manner that a doll's head might move. There were strange scars on Satoko's neck, like her throat was clawed out.
どうしてこんなことに。
I think I might be getting an idea of what happened here. Satoko's symptoms probably reached critical levels. She started hallucinating something really fierce, clawed out her own throat in a suicide attempt, and in the mix of the chaos, I don't know, maybe Shion decided to commit suicide as well, out of sheer stress, regret, remorse, all the above for what happened, what was happening then and there. Felt like a big freaking failure in the eyes of her beloved Satoshi. Wanted to atone by dying. It's gotta be something like that, right?
なんでだ。
Reina screamed again, and it brought me back to my senses.
レナ。
Reina started grabbing things around her and throwing them, and screaming like crazy.
しーちゃん、さとこちゃん、しーちゃん、さとこちゃん、しーちゃん、さとこちゃん。
レナ、落ち着け。レナ。
How can you ask her to calm down with two corpses right in front of her? And her friends to boot?
どうしてなんで二人が死ななくちゃいけなかったの？なんでしーちゃんがどうしてさとこちゃんまで認めない。レナはこんなの認めたくない。遅かったのです。
Riki-chan's muttering clearly reached Reina's ears, because she turned around to look while still screaming.
リカちゃん、それどういうことだよ。
You're handling this awfully well, Keiichi. Are you okay? Rika-chan looked up at me with a despondent expression that told me she had given up on everything. I was surprised, because I've only ever seen adults make that facial expression.
Keiichi, これは決まっていたことなのです。
誰が決めたんだよ。
Rika-chan shook her head. What is it, Rika-chan? If this was already decided, if you knew this was going to happen, why can't you explain it to us? Who decided this? What did they decide? And for what reason? That moment, I felt a chill run down my spine. Even if Keiichi and the others did something they shouldn't have done, none of that matters right now. The words Rika-chan told me at the schoolyard crept into my heart. Did you know, Rika-chan, that we did something we shouldn't have done? We killed a man on the night of Watanagashi. That was something that shouldn't have been done. Did that make Orishiro-sama angry? And as a result, the two of them were killed on the day of Watanagashi?
これがお社様のたり。
I have a feeling even if Rika did explain things to them, at this point, their minds are pretty much so far gone, they just would not be able to accept it, let alone comprehend it. Reina seemed afraid to speak those words. Those who invoke Ueshiro-sama's anger will be cursed. The curse always fell on the day of Watanagashi. That was what Hinamizawa decided. My voice was trembling.
お社様のたたりなんてありえない。たたりのふりをして誰かが殺したに決まってるじゃないか。なあ、レナ。
Reina's eyes looked incredibly dark. The sight made me shiver.
レナ、お前ひょっとして心当たりがあるのか？
This train of thought that you're trying to hop on right now, Keiichi, get off it. Now.
知らないけどレナは絶対に許さないよ。綿流しだからって、お社様のたたりだからってこんなことをしていいはずがない。絶対に許さない。絶対に。レナは絶対に許さない。
That's right. I'll never forgive the culprit either. I picked up the bloody, smelly knife that had fallen beside Shion. Even though my heart had taken a beating a while ago, it was finally regaining its strength. Hell, thinking about it now, it is possible that maybe they just killed each other. Maybe Satoko decided to try and stab Shion in self-defense, and in the scuffle, Satoko ended up biting the bullet, and Shion decided to follow suit out of guilt. Standing in front of Shion and Satoko's bodies filled me with energy. I'll never, ever forgive the person who took something precious from us. Look in the mirror then. I stood tall and found a new reason to live. Hatred. Self-hatred, I would hope. Who am I kidding? It's obviously not that. We fought to save Satoko. And how'd that work out for you? We fought more than anyone else to win back our precious, everyday peaceful life. And you still failed. Miserably. But even so, in the end, something stood in our way. It's unforgivable. I'll never forgive the person who took from us what we hold dear!
殺してやる。殺してやる。絶対に殺してやる。こんなことした連中を絶対に殺してやる。
For now, I stood before Rika-chan. We fluctuated between anger and sorrow as we stared down at Satoko and Shion's bodies.
期待していたけど結局また。もういいわ、バカバカしい。圭一、起きなさい。圭一、遅刻するわよ。
Mom was desperately calling out to me because I hadn't gotten up at the usual time.
今起きるよ。
Even though I said that, I couldn't pull myself out the futon. My body was so heavy, like lead. To be more accurate, it was my heart that felt heavy. A vision of Shion Satoko lying in a pool of blood came back to me anytime I closed my eyes. That bloody kitchen knife laying on the ground. As I recalled it now, it still felt like I was holding it in the palm of my hand. I'll take my revenge with this. I'll have my revenge on the person who took my peaceful everyday life from me in an instant.
圭一、
When I opened my eyes, Mom was standing before me.
具合悪そうね。今日休む？
I frequently skipped school back in my old town, but I've been in good health since I moved here. In the past, Mom would have just smacked me and dragged me out the futon, but today she seemed really worried about me. Probably because your state of mind is written clear across your face.
ごめん。今日休ませて。熱あるみたいだ。
I said whatever came to mind and tried to look apologetic.
珍しいこともあるわね。じゃあレナちゃんが迎えに来たらそう言っておくわ。あんたが休みだなんてレナちゃんきっとがっかりするわよ。
Mom said that cheerfully. She'd be disappointed, huh? Actually, I wonder what kind of face I'd make if I had to see Reina. What kind of face would Reina be making at a time like this? My heart ached every time I thought about yesterday. That day where I was roaring like a ferocious beast at Satoko's house. Every time I told myself that I had no other choice, a feeling of emptiness sprang up. I have no idea what I'm supposed to live for now. Maybe clinging to my hatred is the best way to go on living.
風邪薬を持ってくるわね。
Mom left the room. Perhaps she'd grown tired of my silence. I don't need cold medicine. I wanted to say that, but I decided to keep quiet. Silence once again filled the room. The day we killed Teppei Hojo in the forest felt like so long ago. The world has changed since that day. When Satoko screamed in despair after witnessing me mercilessly beat Teppei Hojo to death, that was when it changed. I wonder why all this happened. You make me want to beat you over the head with a pipe. Who killed Shion? And why did Satoko have to die like that? With her throat torn apart? If Shion's story was accurate, it was similar to Tomitaki-san's death. He clawed out his throat with his own fingernails, and he ultimately died from the excessive blood loss. The police suspected that Tomitaki-san's death was a suicide, but if that was the case, then it suggested Satoko's death was also a suicide. Satoko committing suicide? Why? That's impossible. I once again recalled the scene of Satoko, with her throat torn wide open. However, it became completely unbearable after just 2 seconds. The terrible sight and repulsive bloody scent of Satoko's corpse was burned into my memory.
おかしいわね。今日レナちゃんもお休みかしら。
Mom came back with the cold medicine. Normally, if I wasn't at our usual meeting place, Reina would worry about me and come to my house to check on me. My normal, everyday life. I never thought it was so fragile. I tossed the cold medicine in my mouth and drank a sip of water right away. There was nothing wrong with my body, but taking cold medicine wouldn't make it any worse.
じゃあ学校にはお母さんが電話しておくから。おとなしくしてるのよ。
Instead of responding, I simply closed my eyes. I wanted to sleep like this for the rest of my life. To get away from everything. If I could just have a pleasant dream, where I played and had club activities, Satoko, Shion, Rina, Mion, and Rika-chan forever, I wouldn't need anything else. That was all I wanted. I softly begged for it. Not sure if it was thanks to the cold medicine or not, but before I knew it, I fell asleep. The phone was ringing. I guess Mom went out. And I guess Dad is out too. Where could they have gone? The phone kept ringing, non-stop. I was getting sick of it, but I gave up. I was in no mood to listen to a telemarketer's poor sales pitch right now. They're trying to reach Mom or Dad, but I guess they're both out. Come on, just leave me alone. The caller was far too persistent. It caused a lingering unease in my heart to gradually grow stronger. I didn't know why, but I just had a feeling that the person on the other end of the phone would deliver me even more bad news. I headed downstairs. I stood there and watched the phone ring for a while. If I pick up that phone, another wave of unfortunate events will be unleashed. I thought that for a second, but the next moment I picked up the receiver. Mion? The atmosphere grew tense as I heard a very faint voice on the other end of the phone. Who is it? As I thought that, I tried to say something, but just then I heard the other person's voice.
もしもし
Hello, zombie. Fancy day we're having, huh? Hearing that voice made all the blood in my body run cold.
はい。
よかったやっと通じたケイちゃんですね
Okay, so if this is actually Shion we're talking to, and not just some hallucination that Keiichi's fracturing mind is conjured up, then can I assume that that other corpse we saw just a little bit ago was actually Mion we were looking at? Impossible. I thought back nostalgically as I heard a lovely, familiar voice. And the owner of that voice was Shion, who should already be dead.
もう出ないかと思いましたよ。お姉に聞いたら学校も休みだって言うし、一体どうしちゃったんですか？
You died, and so did the Trap Master. And apparently we got a necromancer running around. Shion was talking in her usual cheery tone. What are you doing, Shion? Yesterday, you were dead, right?
ケイちゃん、大丈夫ですか？
Not really.
ごめん。今日風邪ひいたみたいでさ。
I tried to keep the conversation calm while assessing my opponent's attitude. A dead person was calling me. I desperately pondered the meaning of that while listening to the bright voice coming in through the receiver.
大丈夫ですか？
No.
まったくもうお腹出して寝てたりしたんじゃないですか？
大丈夫だって。俺がそんなことするわけないだろ。
ですよね。でもケイちゃん、寝相悪そうですしね。私が添い寝してあげましょうか。
Is that a threat? Sorry, but I don't feel like lying down to the dead anytime soon. Our meaningless conversation continued. I tried to be cheery and tried to stay calm as I spun together whatever words I could muster.
いいって、大丈夫だよ。シオンが隣にいたんじゃ、一晩中眠れないに決まってるだろうが。
なんでですか？私はケイちゃんと違って寝相いいですよ。
よく言うぜ。夜通したっぷり蹴られて殴られて、起きたら何にも覚えてませんって言うんだろ。分かってるんだぜ。
ケイちゃんひどい。いくらなんでもあんまりですよ。じゃ、本当かどうか試してみます？
Stop threatening me. I want to live a long, healthy life.
遠慮しとく。
This was a game of catch, throwing meaningless words back and forth to pass the time. When I realized that, I stopped laughing.
シオン。
はい。
Who am I really talking to right now? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or rather, maybe I should be asking, who's that corpse at Satoko's house?
ケイちゃん、どうしたんです？
いや、なんでもない。それより何か用があったんじゃなかったのか。
留守電に電話くれって入れたのケイちゃんじゃないですか。
留守電？
そうですよ。至急聞きたいことがあるって。
Oh, that's right. Yesterday, Reina, Rika-chan, and I were all desperately searching for Shion together in an effort to locate Satoko. It's crazy that I was already forgetting something like that. I banged my head with my fist to sharpen my senses.
ケイちゃん、大丈夫ですか？風邪薬持って私そっちに行きましょうか？
Actually, yes. Please come over. I want to see firsthand if you really are who you seem to be.
風邪薬は飲んだから。
On the chest, sides, stomach, back, neck, and legs, Shion was shedding blood from all over her body while lying on the floor at Satoko's house yesterday. And Satoko was laying there too, with her throat torn apart like it was ripped open. Could all that have been a hallucination? Well, you would have to explain how both Reina and Rika saw the exact same things you did. Could the two of them still be alive and well somewhere? Was I mistaken in thinking I saw the both of them?
特に用がないなら私バイト行きますよ。
シオン、
はい。
昨日ちゃんとバイト行ったのか？
やだな、ケイちゃん。何言ってるんですか。
Your hesitance. It speaks a lot of things to me.
当たり前ですよ。
家には帰ったか？
当たり前です。人を不良少女みたいに言わないでくださいよ。
Well, I guess, yeah, that's fair. Your average juvenile delinquent wouldn't go as far as to murder someone, now would they?
そうだよな。
そうですよ。
そうだよな。
The silence continued. If she went home yesterday, wouldn't someone have seen her? Wuxi was supposed to be waiting in front of her house, right? Didn't that seem unusual? Which brings me back to what I've been saying for what feels like the past 2 episodes at this point. If she's following very similar patterns to how she behaved during the main story arcs, whenever she lost her marbles, she is probably over in the underground bomb shelter with the torture chamber right underneath the Sonozaki estate. Now I just wish that everybody could figure out about that place soon enough here so we can actually get there. And what happened to Toko? Was she really about to head to Angel Mort? Did she go yesterday too? Why would she lie about that? Even though there were a lot of things I wanted to ask, she probably dodged all of my questions.
じゃあ、用がないなら切りますよ。風、お大事に。
待ってくれ。
I immediately began squeezing the receiver tight.
はい。
思い出した。凶器のこと。
凶器？
鉄平を殺したあの晩。シオン、凶器を持って帰ったろ。
はい。それが何か？
Shion responded like it was perfectly natural. My heart was racing. Shion wasn't responsible for weapons disposal. Reina was. Suspicious.
あれ、隠し場所を変えようって話、レナとしてたんだよ。
ああ、そういうことですか。でも大丈夫ですよ。絶対に見つからない場所に捨てましたから。
If that corpse I saw was really Shion, then don't tell me this is Mion who's pretending to be Shion, and well, but then how would she have caught wind of our plan?
それじゃあダメなんだ。もう一度あれを使うことになりそうだから。
どういうことですか？
My heart was beating wildly.
悪い。家の電話じゃ言えないんだ。これからあそこに来られるかな。レナのアジト、あのゴミ山。
え？今からですか？
警察は俺たちのこと疑っているみたいだしさ。
Then the other end of the receiver went silent. Shion, tell me you're willing to come. If you're going to continue using Shion's name.
わかりました。じゃあ今から行きますから。
Then she hung up. Shion is coming, with weapons she couldn't have possibly taken home. I'm sure Reina will be at the garbage mountain today, too. If Reina didn't go to school, I'm sure she'll be over there. I had no grounds for that, but I was convinced. I changed my clothes and put on my shoes. Then I grabbed an empty bag, hid the thing I found in the kitchen inside of it, and then left the house. Evening had already fallen by the time I reached the garbage mountain at the dam construction site. As I parked my bike, I looked for signs of Reina's presence. Although I couldn't see Reina, I noticed her bike mixed in with the scrap. I carefully watched my step as I descended the garbage slope. What had I been doing all day today? I skipped school and spent the day hiding in bed to escape reality. I got a phone call from Shion, who was supposed to be dead, and I invited her here. It all felt so unreal. None of it was in line with my everyday thoughts. And what remained was a set of unbelievable facts. A person who couldn't possibly be alive somehow was, and a person who ought to be here was dead.
Kei-chan!
Hello, possible imposter. When I turned around, I saw Shion coming down the garbage slope. Shion, who the hell are you? It felt like I had an idea what the answer was. You and me both. Shion turned to me with a bright, innocent smile. No, that's not Shion.
お前ミオンだろ。
何言ってるんですか、ケイちゃん。ちゃんとよく見てくださいよ。私、シオンですよ。
どういうつもりなんだ。
どうしちゃったんです急に。何かあったんですか？
Shion just stared blankly at me. My confidence was wavering. Is it possible that this is actually Shion? The Shion standing before me was staring at me with her eyes open wide. In my mind, those eyes overlapped with the lifeless eyes of the Shion I found dead at Satoko's house yesterday. The corpse I saw yesterday definitely had the same face as this person. So the person who was supposed to be dead speaking to me was a living contradiction. Impossible. The person standing in front of me can't possibly be Shion.
シオンはもう死んでるんだよ。
え？
Shion. No, Mion audibly gasped.
お前はミオンなんだ。
Mion's eyes darted in every direction. She held a hand up to her mouth to hide the look of dismay on her face.
シオンが死んでるってどういうことです？
Her voice was trembling from fear and the awful truth she was about to hear.
もうやめろよ、シオンの真似。どうして俺たちを騙したのか。俺が知りたいのはそれだけなんだ。
ごめんなさい。
Why is your mouth not moving?
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Mion immediately started apologizing. She slipped on her footing and knocked over some cans on the ground as she knelt down and pressed both her hands together.
謝らなくていい。もうどうしようもないことなんだから。
ケイちゃんとレナずっと変だなって思ってたんだ。だから騙すつもりなんて全然なかったんだよ。
そんなことを聞いてない。なんでシオンになりすましてたのか、それを知りたいだけだ。
ごめんね。ひょっとしたらサトシと同じことが起きてるんじゃないかって私そう思って。
サトシ？
Satoshi. Satoko's older brother. The one who disappeared and left Satoko behind. Satoko's Nini.
綿流しの前くらいからケイちゃんたちシオンと3人で何か相談してたでしょ。それで何かあるのかなって気になってたんだ。なんで私を仲間に入れてくれないのかなって。わざと私には秘密にしてるみたいだった。あの時ちょっと寂しかったんだよ。だからシオンに何をしようとしているのかなって電話で聞こうとしたんだけど 電話はかけたけど聞けなかった。シオンは私のこと信頼してないような素振りを見せてたし、話してくれるわけないかって思い直した。でも気になって、私ケイちゃんたちのこと本当はずっと気にしてたんだよ。そして綿流しが終わったら北条哲平がいなくなって、里子もシオンもいなくなって。
Mion raised her eyebrows as she anxiously looked up at me. I don't understand your story, Mion. You impersonated Shion because you wanted to be our friend? I couldn't understand it at all.
違うんだよケイちゃん。ごめんなさい。
Stop apologizing. It's meaningless.
お願いケイちゃん、そんな目で見ないでよ。ごめんなさい。シオンはあんな性格だから、もしかして私哲平を殺したのはシオンなんじゃないかって思って。
How do you know Teppei was killed?
それでシオンは逃げて行方をくらましたんじゃないかって。
She must have deduced from our stories that all three of us were involved in Teppei's murder.
それで私、それならなおさら一人で逃げてしまったシオンのアリバイを作らなくちゃと思った。それでシオンのふりしてた。それだけなんだよ。お願い、信じて。嘘はもうやめようよ、みーちゃん。レナ。
Well, nice of you to finally show up. Before I realized it, Reina was standing behind Mion. Mion's eyes fixated on the massive hatchet Reina was holding.
ねえみーちゃん、みーちゃんの話おかしいよ。それならなんでさとこちゃんも殺したの？さとこも死んだの？なんで？まさか、どうして？白々しいんだよ。
Reina swung her hatchet down. It let out a loud clang as it sliced into the hood of a car by her feet.
やり方が汚いよね、みーちゃん。やってることも汚いけどさ、しーちゃんを殺しておいてしーちゃんをかばおうと思っていたなんてよく言えるよね。ひどい目に遭ってるさとこちゃんのこと見て見ぬふりしてたのも綿流しの日に殺すつもりだったからでしょ。レナ、何言ってんの？レナの言ってること全然わかんないよ。しらばっくれないでよ。仲間に入りたかった？笑わせないで。初めから私たち仲間なんかじゃなかったじゃない。レナ。
Mion looked up at me like she was begging. However, all I could do was coldly gaze back at her. Mion, what you've done can never be taken back!
全部たたりなんだろう。お社様の園崎家が起こしてるんだろう。お社様のたたり。
ケイちゃん、あんたたちおかしいよ。何言ってるのか全然わかんないよ。北条家は元から根絶やしにするつもりだった。だからさとこちゃんを殺した。違う私じゃない。さとこにそんなこと一度だって思ったこともない。
もういいんだよミオ。お前が否定すればするほど全てが嘘っぱちに聞こえる。さとこを殺してさとこを守ろうとしたシオンまでも殺した。富武さんと高野さんを殺したのはどういう理由なんだ？
違うんだよ。ごめんなさい。
Tears began falling from Mion's eyes. Mion clapped both her hands together and bowed while sobbing profusely.
お社様のたたり。 お前はやりたくなかったんだよな。でも園崎家の命令で仕方なかったんだよな。
I'm starting to think maybe I was overthinking this a little bit. Yeah, I'm starting to think now that maybe my initial theory on how Shion and Satoko died might be the more likely option. The reason I got suspicious of Mion is because I couldn't figure out, at least in my head, how she could have figured out that, you know, Teppei was murdered rather than just straight up disappeared. But then I realized, well, if she is the future head of the Sonozaki family, and they got connections inside the police department. So chances are, if she really wanted to figure out what exactly happened, she could have quickly figured out right through that well, Teppei did a lot more than just disappear. But wait, no, that can't be it. I don't think they even found the body yet, right? No, they didn't. No. Well, shit, I think I've just confused myself. So, you know what? I'm just gonna shut up for a little bit and just continue on.
どうしてこんなことに。何がいけなかったのよ。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。残念だったね、みーちゃん。途中でバレちゃって。次はレナたちの予定だったんでしょ？殺すの。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
うるさい、黙れ。
I took out the kitchen knife I hid in the bag. Oh no. The knife that was lying beside Satoko and Shion yesterday. The one that spilled the blood of my precious friends.
ケイちゃん。
Mion gasped as she opened her eyes wide in despair.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Hey, Keiichi. Forgive her already. She's apologized enough, hasn't she? She did something that can never be taken back. I'm honestly beginning to doubt that she actually did anything here. But even so, forgive her. Because this won't bring the two of them back. Mion's face was drenched with tears. That miserable face was the same Mion who always smiled about club activities. In those days, we were all around Satoko, and everyone was smiling together.
多分黄色がブロッコリーで青がカリフラワーででも緑はその
Oh no, the color blindness. That's right.
まあまあ家庭科の授業ってことで。じゃあさとこ、これは？
Mion used her chopsticks to pick up a little green morsel wrapped in bacon.
でもそれアスパラ。
I held Rika-chan's mouth closed.
その黄色がカリフラワー、緑がカリフラワー。
さあどっちだ？ん？
No, now this is mean.
わかりますもの。わかるもん。
じゃあ答えなよ。
わかるもん。わかるもん。
Satoko cried out, unable to bear it any longer. When Reina saw that, she held her head and pinched her cheeks. Reina, you're terrible. You heard it. She finds her misery adorable and cute. What a monster. That was our everyday life. When a salty taste entered my mouth, I realized I was crying. You're not supposed to drink your own tears.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Mion was still apologizing by my feet. As the dusk began to settle in, the cries of the Higurashi grew even louder. The wind had gotten a lot cooler. It seemed like good weather for everyone to play together.
みーちゃん、ごめんね。本当はこんなことしたくなかったんだよ。それだけは分かってくれるよね。
Please don't. We already had enough bloodshed at this point, don't you think? Rena tightly gripped her hatchet. Her cheeks were soaking wet. Rena was crying too, without making a sound.
ミオ。
I clenched the kitchen knife I was holding. In the same moment that Rena swung her hatchet, I rushed in with the kitchen knife. I felt like I could hear Mion's cheerful voice mixed in with the groans of pain.
ケイちゃんにはそんなこと全然似合わないよ。それより今日の部活は何やろうか。罰ゲームはね。
Maybe I just didn't want to hear Mion's final words. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mion's voice echoed inside my head and synchronized with my own feelings. Maybe I was the one who wanted to apologize. Mion. I just wanted to regain our happy days. It wasn't supposed to end this way. Nobody wanted this. I'm depressed now. I hope you sons of bitches are happy. You ruined whatever good mood I had. The night was approaching. As the sun went down, only a little light remained on the mountaintops. Both the fishy smell of blood lingering in the air, and Mion's voice, still ringing in my ears, felt like they were about to drift off into the sky. Mion's long hair fluttered in the wind and struck my feet. Rena was kneeling with Mion's head in her lap, stroking Mion's hair.
人って死んじゃうんだね。
Rena gazed at Mion's lifeless lips and spoke in a nonchalant tone. In a voice that sounded like she had already forgotten what she had done with her own hands.
みーちゃんはね、レナが引っ越してきた時、初めて声をかけてくれた子なんだよ。
The people of Hinamizawa had a strong bond with one another, but tended to treat outsiders coldly. Even though Rena was originally from Hinamizawa, she moved away when she was little, so the villagers still treated her like an outsider when she returned. Come to think of it, was it any different for me? Maybe it was because of Dad's strong personality, or maybe it was because I made some good friends at school. but I was fortunate enough that it never caused any issues. However, Mom had to regularly interact with the villagers face to face, so it was probably really hard on her in the beginning.
引っ越してくる前の学校でいろいろあってね。あの頃レナはちょっと辛かったんだよね、精神的に。
Well, you didn't really have a choice in who your parents were. Can't really fault you for that.
一からやり直そうと思ってこっちに来たのに、前に住んでいた町と全然違うから、どうしていいのかわからなかった。不安でいっぱいの中、初めて学校へ行ってね、みーちゃんに会ったの。初めてレナに声をかけてくれたのはみーちゃんだった。
レナって言うんだ。いい名前だね。困ったことがあるなら何でも言いなよ。この村では隠し事なんかしてもすぐにバレちゃうんだから。そんな不安そうな顔しなくても大丈夫だよ。あたしに任せときなって。
レナは家族のことでちょっと悩んでたんだけど、そんな悩み事打ち明ける必要なんて全くなかった。レナの家族について悪い噂を流そうとする人もいたみたいなんだけど、みーちゃんがそういうのは全部レナの耳に入らないようにしてくれたみたい。毎日一緒に学校に行って、リカちゃんやサトコちゃんや他のお友達の仲間に入れてくれて、みーちゃんと一緒にいるとレナの悩み事なんてすごくちっぽけなことに思えてくる。レナにここで両足でしっかり立って生きていく勇気をくれたんだよ、みーちゃんは。
Rena let out a brief sigh while gently stroking Mion's hair. The smell of Mion's shampoo tickled my nose as the breeze carried it over. Somehow, despite coming from a corpse, it was a lovely scent.
あんなに優しかったのに、あんなに頼りになる仲間だったのに。ねえケイチくん、どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんだろうね。
Because you let your emotions run away with you a little too much for your own good, frankly. Rena twirled Mion's hair around in her finger as she asked me that. Why did this happen? I didn't know either. I couldn't answer Rena's question. There was no way I could answer that. So I simply bowed my head and remained silent. Mion's hair slipped through Rena's fingers in a gentle arc.
何が間違ってたんだろうね。どこで歯車が狂っちゃったんだろう。レナは何を間違えたんだろう。どうしてだろうね。
Rena went on, talking to herself. I felt the same way. I had mixed feelings as I gazed at Mion's closed eyes, knowing they would never open again. Just then, I thought I caught a glimpse of one of her eyelashes moving. I stared intently at Mion's eyelashes.
どうしてだろうね。ね、ケイチくん。ケイチくん。
There was no way Mion could open her eyes. She's not going to move. Because Mion is already dead, right? I just kept staring at her closed eyes. Lovely Mion. She was our friend. Mion killed Shion and Satoko, then impersonated Shion while trying to kill us. In order to carry out the curse of Oishiro-sama. There was no point in figuring out who failed or what went wrong. Oishiro-sama's existence was the cause of all the problems in this village. It was all Oishiro-sama's fault. Oishiro-sama was the one manipulating Mion.
圭一君、大丈夫？
I can just hear Hanyu whimpering in the background somewhere, as everybody blames her for all their problems.
顔色が悪いみたいだよ。そろそろ帰ろうか。
Reina quietly slid Mion's head off her knees and onto the ground. I took a deep breath, then slowly got up. As I got up, dust floated onto Mion's beautiful hair. What now? A person who was alive just this morning was lying here dead. Lying unprotected on this mountain of trash, unable to resist the dust collecting on her. I felt sorry for Mion. It was Oishiro-sama's meddling that got her killed. How unfortunate. We were the ones who killed her, no question about it, but it didn't feel like this was a matter of who directly done the deed.
間違いとかそんなんじゃないんだと思う。
I strongly disagree.
これがミオンの運命だったんだ。
What a cruel thing to say. I said that, trying to convince myself of that. Mion was just a pawn of Oishiro-sama. She was destined to die. It couldn't be helped. It couldn't be helped.
運命。こんな死に方がみーちゃんの運命だったんだ。
Reina weakly lifted her head in response to my comment. She wiped the blood from Mion's cheeks with her slender fingertip, then turned to me with a cruel light in her eyes. Then, a chill ran down my back. Reina, what were you thinking just now? Probably something along the lines of, how fucking dare you, Keiichi? The more time passed, the less I understood her. What is she thinking? Then I remembered. Reina was the kind of person who could put on a cheerful smile right after killing a person. But right now, her face looks so sad. So what is she thinking? As I pondered the best way to ask Reina what she meant, she interrupted with words of her own.
帰ろうか。
I lost my chance.
どうしたの圭一君。ぼんやりしてるみたいだよ。元気出してほしいな。
Reina gave me her usual smile while trying to encourage me.
俺は元気だぞ。
That defensive answer was the best I could muster. I was frustrated that Reina had taken the lead in this conversation, but as long as I didn't know her true feelings, I couldn't afford to say something foolish that would only stir up a hornet's nest. Think you're already too late on that front, buddy. I stealthily looked over at Reina's expression, desperately trying to get a handle on her real intentions. What was that face you made a little while ago? What were you thinking? No way, Reina. Were you thinking about me? Reina maintained the smile on her face, while slightly tilting her head to the side.
そっか。圭一君が元気ならよかった。元気じゃないと レナも悲しくなっちゃうしね。
俺が元気だとどうなるんだ？
If I wasn't feeling fine, would that cause problems for Reina?
元気ならいいと思うな。
Reina made a sweet smile. Even I could tell that smile was forced. The two of us are accomplices in the murders of Tepe and Mion. Murder is a sin that we'll have to carry on our backs for the remainder of our lives. That's why we'll have to get along for the rest of our lives, even if it means maintaining a superficial relationship on the outside. And yet, just what on earth was Reina up to? Feelings of distrust toward Reina were bubbling up.
じゃあ行こっか。
Reina rose to her feet. I noticed a brief glimmer near the hem of her skirt. It looked like she was adjusting the hem of her skirt, but I caught a glimpse of something hidden behind her back. Hatchet? The hatchet? The same hatchet that drew Mion's blood earlier? The blood in my body receded as I began to understand what that meant. Why, Reina? Why are you hiding that hatchet from me? I looked down at Mion on the ground. The blood flowing out had completely dried up. Reina, are you planning to kill me with that hatchet too? I glanced over at Reina once more, but she was just staring vacantly at Mion's body. Even so, that hatchet Reina kept hidden was the only thing that spoke to her true feelings. The burden of being an accomplice will last a lifetime. It was a heavy bond, stronger than marriage. Just imagining it made me feel dizzy. Reina gently moved her hands. Was she moving the hatchet? I swallowed a gulp of saliva. Come to think of it, where did I put that kitchen knife I was carrying until a little while ago? I looked around, but I couldn't see it. I kept looking and looking, but oddly enough, I couldn't see the kitchen knife anywhere. When I noticed Reina gazing in my direction, I quickly looked up toward the sky to hide my vexation.
みーちゃんをここに残しておくわけにはいかないよね。
My wandering gaze halted when I heard Reina's stern voice. You can't leave me on here? You mean moving the corpse? Why? Nobody ever comes here. It's safer here than anywhere else, isn't it? You really don't think that people are gonna start wondering where the future head of the Sonozaki family disappeared to? Really? I couldn't comprehend what Reina was thinking when she said that.
どこに持ってくんだよ。
I carefully tried to keep my dismay from coming out. Maybe she wanted to bury her somewhere like we did with Tepe Hojo? Was there a chance she wanted to kill me too?
みーちゃんをさとこちゃんとしーちゃんの近くで眠らせてあげようよ。
Reina spoke to Mion in a gentle voice. It was an affectionate voice, like a mother addressing her child. Reina's voice made me feel better for a moment. I felt ashamed of myself for doubting her. But was Reina truly speaking from the bottom of her heart right there? You feel ashamed for doubting her, and then literally in the next sentence, you doubt her again. Make up your mind, son. After some internal debate, I decided she was lying. Reina was the kind of person who could lie without flinching. Up until now, after killing Tepe and after killing Mion, I noticed something a little off. Reina was the sort of person who could skillfully wear one face while concealing another. So it would be better not to carelessly trust everything Reina says. My heart started to feel lighter as I pondered that. I started to relax after admitting to myself that I shouldn't trust Reina. If that's the case, it makes things easy. I just don't trust Reina. I need to consider my next move with that premise in mind. It was far easier than being lost in a cycle of wanting to trust her, but unable to do it. Shion and Satoko should still be resting in the Hojo house. When the police get around to investigating the house, their investigation might derail under the assumption that Mion was killed there. Despite how compassionate Reina looked, my mind was thinking meticulously. So, I nodded to her in a manner that made it seem like her kindness got through to me.
そうだな。みんなと一緒の方がミオも安心するよな。
I had a distant look in my eyes while staring vacantly at Mion. Her neck was bent at a sad angle, so I looked down and bit my lip in regret. The next struggle for survival had already begun. I held my breath while waiting for Reina's reaction. Not sure if she noticed it or not, but she started to walk completely silently. The yard in front of Reina's house was packed full of junk, like always. It was rather far from Satoko's house. We came here to pick up the push cart so we could carry Mion to Satoko's house.
リアカーどこに置いてあったっけな。
Reina sifted through a pile of junk while searching for the cart. The yard was almost as cluttered as the garbage mountain we were at earlier. We used that cart the other day to bring that statue we excavated here, didn't we? I thought so, but I stopped myself before saying anything. This entire area was packed with items that Reina collected on a daily basis. Well, if rumors ever started going around calling this the garbage house, I couldn't exactly object. I pretended to help Reina search for the cart while carefully searching the area. The house seemed awfully quiet. I wonder if anyone is home. Though I was looking around restlessly, my eyes stopped when Reina called out to me in a sharp voice.
ケイチ君、お茶とか飲むかな。
Reina looked back at me while searching the back of the shed.
別にいらないけど。
My throat was dry. But I wanted to avoid giving Reina an opportunity to escape from my line of sight. I still wasn't sure what Reina was thinking, so I needed to carefully monitor her movements. Because I couldn't trust Reina.
ふーん。いらないんだ。せっかくお茶でも入れてあげようと思ったのにな。いらないんだ。レナのこと、ひょっとして信用してないのかな。
No. Even though Reina should have been standing in the back of the shed, I found her standing right beside me, glaring at me with a horrifyingly distressing look in her eyes.
なんだよ。レナを信じないで誰を信じろって言うんだよ。
I tried to laugh it off, but my face struggled to play along.
そうだよね。レナもケイチ君のこと信じてるよ。
I wish I could believe you.
絶対に何があってもね。
Reina's facial expression didn't change at all. I trust you too. I wanted to say that, but I couldn't get the words out of my throat.
見つけたんだよリアカ。埋もれててわからなかったけど、ほら。
Reina banged on the rails of the cart. It was covered in a blue tarp.
そう。じゃあ行こうか。俺が引いてやるよ。
I offered to pull the cart instead of Reina. Suddenly, Reina's shoulders twitched prominently enough, that I could notice it from 50 centimeters away. And during that time frame, the blue tarp over the cart seemed to move slightly. Reina immediately pushed the tarp down, but I clearly saw it. I saw a familiar-looking kitchen knife right next to Reina. Oh, you got the knife. It was the knife I was looking for a while ago. The same knife that sucked the blood from Satoko and Shion, then stabbed Mion in the heart. I was looking everywhere for it, but I had no idea that Reina was secretly carrying it. Reina had somehow found it, and secretly tucked it away without me realizing.
あ、いいよ。レナ一人で大丈夫だから。みーちゃんを乗っけたら、ケイチくんにも手伝ってもらおうかな。はう？
Let me just take a wild guess. Is the next 5 minutes going to be essentially Keiichi's mind running rampant until he eventually comes to the conclusion that somehow Reina was the one who actually killed Satoko and Shion? Reina shamelessly donned her cute mode. It was painful to look at. Reina, what do you plan on stabbing with that kitchen knife? Let me rephrase that. Who do you plan on stabbing?
ケイチくん、どうしたの？怖い顔してるけど、何か考え事かな？
気のせいだろ。行こう。
As I said that, I quickly surveyed the area. It looked like Reina was hiding her hatchet earlier. Where did it go? Reina brought it home with her, right? Was she preparing the knife because she didn't want to use the hatchet? That's too bad, Reina. I'll be the one to grab that hatchet. My eyes stopped on the shadow of the shed. I could see the blade of the hatchet hidden there.
後ろを押してやるよ。
I moved around to the back of the cart without saying anything more.
ああ、ケイチくん。そんなに押したら向きが曲がっちゃうよ。
Reina started walking forward, pulling the cart to straighten it out. She adjusted the angle of the cart so it was no longer facing the shed. I swiftly grabbed the hatchet from the shadow of the shed and gently set it down in the cargo bay without making a sound. And on the other side of the cart, I caught a glimpse of the knife Reina had hidden earlier.
リアカって何も乗ってないのに結構重いよね。
She knows. Reina quickly turned back and pulled the tarp down. Did she notice something? There's no point in hiding it now. I already know there's a kitchen knife hidden in there. The question is, why?
疲れてるから余計そう感じるんじゃないのか。レナ、無理するなよ。大丈夫か？リアカー引くのいつでも変わってやるぜ。
I even surprised myself at how gentle my voice came out. At this point, I know Reina has the kitchen knife. But Reina doesn't know that I have the hatchet, as far as you know. That fact brought me a small amount of relief. I was in the superior position here. Or at least I should be. You really should not underestimate Reina. Chapter 6 kind of showed that when she really puts her mind to stuff, she can really ruin a lot of people's day. Quite effectively, too. Rand looked back at me while pulling the cart. With a sweet smile, but her eyes weren't smiling.
甘え方にもよるな。
I flashed her a big smile.
圭一君の意地悪。
Our shadows melted into the dusk. This was a matter of survival. This was the only way to break the heavy shackles of our collusion. Kill before being killed. That's one of the basic rules of survival. If Reina is willing to go that far, I'm prepared to fight. And I'm definitely going to win. As I decided that, I gazed at the bulge on the tarp where the hatchet was hiding underneath. I think I'm going to go ahead and end things here. I'm going to take a gamble, and I'm going to assume that next episode we won't have only 20 minutes left of this particular story arc before we move on to the next one. Because I've been assuming, because for the past couple episodes now, I've been assuming that we were getting pretty close to the end. And yeah, it just keeps going. So, yeah, like I said, I think I'm just going to go ahead and take a gamble, and I'm going to assume that next episode, for sure, we will still have a decent amount of stuff left to cover before this particular story arc is well and truly over. Or I could be, I mean, hey, I could be quite wrong about this, and next time we come back to this, I could be made to look like the damn fool in retrospect. But well, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty lucky this time. In all due seriousness, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not really surprised by how things are going here. I mean, I kind of saw all this coming from miles away. Everybody just picking themselves off, picking each other off. I mean, really, I think the only part about this I'm surprised by is Mion getting dragged into this the way she did. If anything. But past that, well, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going to happen. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of the Higurashi When They Cry console arcs. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.